Hello everyone, Esper here. Welcome back to my video series on making fantasy maps. This time we're going to be looking at lakes, rivers, and swamps. So the watery or wet areas. So I am wanting to put a lake here close to the forest. Lakes, much like your coastline, you can give them all kinds of different shapes. They can be very irregular or not. A lot of my lakes, I do tend to favor these curved lines. Don't ask me why, because I know lakes are not necessarily all that way. But in any case, that's what I wanted to do, at least on this map. Then just a quick second layer on the lake, just those little indications of water, of waves. They almost look like ripples. Now for my river, I want it to start actually flowing out of this mountain here. Usually with rivers, I just make them a solid line. But I like to make them snake and wind. So it's obvious that they are a river. Again, the shapes of rivers are irregular and can basically have any kind of shape to them. They don't have to be so smooth and rounded, but I do like that look. So I make it kind of flowing here from this mountain. Now I want the river to actually go through the forest and into the lake. So I'm just going to bring it from one side and then out the other. You could actually, when you make your forest, plan ahead for a river and separate the forest into two areas. So you would basically draw the two sections, two groupings of forest, but you would have, a very narrow border in between them, and then you would run that river through the border like what I've done here in this other map. And that really gives the sense of this as a wide river, that there is, that it cuts through an area, and there's a big gap in the tree line. If you don't do it this way, and going back to the map that I'm working on now, if you just have it go in one section and out the other, and you'll see I've actually put it in two of these little corner areas, so it looks like little areas that it would feed into and out of. When you do it that way, I think it gives it a sense that it's not a massive river that really divides the forest. Both ways work. I think they both look good. So one potential nitpick you might have with doing it this way is, well, how do I know where that river is inside the forest? It just kind of disappears there. So one thing I like to do is just simply add in some more of these indications of the treetops, those little rounded bumps, and this gives you an idea of about where this river is. See that? I'm actually drawing a solid line through the forest, just giving an indication, and I think that looks pretty nice. And then after we've drawn the main channel, the river proper, I like to add in some little branching waterways. This is pretty common. Most rivers do this. So here are the smaller rivers or creeks or streams that come off of it. Or if you looked at it not flowing out from the river, but rather ones flowing into it, they would be smaller tributaries. So I'll put one little part here going into the trees. Good. So I think that already looks good. We can tell it's a river. There's no guesswork as to what it is. It's clear. Now let's put in some swamps. We've got rivers, lakes. This is a watery, wet area. A simple thing to do with swamps is just to do 3, maybe 2 little lines poking out. I like to splay them. And then you put a line at the bottom. This is a pretty standard for drawing marshes, and it gives the indication of sedges, reeds, cattails. On some other maps, I have also done little circular or almost dot-like markings that give the sense of maybe small pools, bogs, little flood holes. And that, it looks pretty good. I do like it. This way is simpler and faster. I do like that way with the little indications of pools and bogs. in some ways it might get a little confused for something such as tar pits. So it's not the most clear or obvious way to mark out a swamp area. But in any case, here's what I've put in for the swampland. I think that looks good. It looks like a small area on the map. It takes up a small area here on the map. But, in the game world, that would be stretching for miles. So a nice area where you could have adventure, or maybe the characters need to pass through a swamp. It would have its own dangers and terrain elements. So that's it. This was a pretty fast and basic one. Practice it. I may have made it look a little quicker and easier than it might be, especially because I just go right in and draw things with pen without doing pencil work first. But I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this tip keeps you moving along on your map making, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, my friends.